It's a very warm welcome to day number 3. This is Sanganai Hlanganani 2021, Africa's premier business exchange. My name is Hazel Zisani, and I do hope that you are having fun so far. As we promised earlier, we have lots of prizes. We are running a competition, not even a competition per se. All you just have to do is like our Facebook page, which is Meet in Zim, or go on our Twitter handle, also Meet in Zim. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Meet in Zim, and also our YouTube channel is Meet in Zim. So the first prize that I'm going to give away today is your heart beating? Were you liking our pages? Do you think you've won something? Well, let's find out. Our Facebook page winner is Farai Florence Sharara. Congratulations. And what do you win? Lunch for 2, courtesy of the 5-star Nichols Hotel. Our second winner today, this one is a bit tricky. Let's see. Twitter handle, were you on Twitter? Did you post something? If you did, congratulations. Who is the winner? Nunurai Ndawana. Congratulations, Nunu from Fastjit. You win yourself a lunch for 2, courtesy of a Cresta group of hotels. So let's get straight into it. Our next webinar session, this one is focusing on startups, how to build a professional conference organizing company, and none other to moderate this one than our MICE specialist, Mrs. Tessa Chikaponya. Let me introduce you to Tessa. Here's a brief background on her. Tessa is an accomplished MICE specialist with over 20 years in senior management positions. She has led the Zimbabwe National Convention Bureau towards attainment of various accolades and achievements. Her areas of expertise include business development, client development, corporate communications, and business management. Tessa is indeed a woman of many talents and abilities, as she holds qualifications in marketing. She has a Master of Arts, Environment Policy and Planning, Master of Science degree in Tourism and Hospitality Management, to name just but a few. Tessa is currently on secondment at the Zimbabwe Investment Development Agency, ZIDA, spearheading the facilitation of investment in tourism. Tessa is a consistent, analytical, and principled leader whose leadership has inspired many, I must say, to include myself. In her free time, Tessa enjoys interior design, cooking. Who knows, she might be on the next chef's master cooking competition. And also Tessa loves sightseeing. Tessa, it's over to you, and I do hope you are enjoying yourself in Dubai for the Dubai Expo 2020. I also have Brian here in the studio, so you can also link up with him later on. Tessa, it's all yours.
Thank you, Hazel. You've pampered me so much that I'm feeling good, and thank you very much. And I love you all. And you've actually made me meet my friends. I love these ladies and gentlemen that are part of the panel today. And I know that we're going to have a vibrant discussion today so that we help grow this noble industry that we have before us. I've got specialists here. I've got Doris, who is a specialist. I am not going to introduce them, we'll just hear from what they are going to be saying. I've got Tamlin, a specialist also, Kumbi Chiweshe, and I also have Brian. These are vibrant MICE gurus, and they are driving the MICE industry in a big way. Without further ado, I will pose a question to Doris. Doris will just give the brief background of herself, just in 1 minute, to tell us what her background, and we'll go straight to the question to say what inspired Doris to be part of the MICE industry as a professional conference organizer. Doris, I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Tessa, and thank you to everyone that have joined us today from wherever it is you've joined us to. Thank you to all my fellow panelists, and I'm really looking forward to this session. It's my second time at the Sanganai. This time I'm talking about a completely different topic, which is very dear to my heart, but we'll hear about that later. As you've heard, my name is Doris Parsons, and I am a professional conference organizer. We have a professional organizing firm that is based in Tanzania and Rwanda, and we're looking to expand further into the market. So yeah, that's just a very brief introduction about who I am and what we do. So straight into your question, Tessa. What inspired me to get into the mice industry, and particularly as a PCO? I'm going to tell you this. First of all, I didn't start off in this industry at all. I was in employment straight out of university. I joined the oil and gas industry as a business analyst, which I did for a few years. I hated it. And so I quit and started my first business, did that for 2 years. Things got tough. I hated that. And I went back into the employment industry, this time into banking. And whilst I was in the banking industry, I joined the corporate affairs department. Now, a corporate affairs department deals a lot with events and launches and all of these big and flashy things that the organization needs to do. And so I was introduced to the world of events and launches from that point. And so I did that for a few years. I hated that. And so I quit again. This time I said I'm quitting for good, and I want to start my own organizing company. Let me just take it back a little bit. Why did I think I could even do events in the first place? Because as I was in the corporate affairs department, all the events that we used to organize, the cocktails, the launches, the family days, whatever we were doing, they were all my ideas. And then I'd pick up the phone, call the suppliers and stakeholders and ask them to execute my ideas. So then I thought, wait a minute, I can get out there and I can do this as a business. So really, that is what inspired me to get into the event space. Now, we're in the event space already. Fast forward, I was an event organizer, running my own business, happily doing so. I thought I'd made it. I thought this is it. Where else is there for me to go? Until one day I was sitting in a funeral. Yes, it was a funeral where I got my first lead and glimpse of the PCO world. And a friend of mine who sat next to me at the funeral, she whispered in my ear and said, "Hi, Doris. Hi, okay. Have you ever heard of Meetings Africa?" At this point, I was like, "Meetings what?" I said, "Meetings Africa." No, I don't know what that is. What is it? And she said, "Well, it is an exhibition in South Africa where all professionals in the industry meet, and you need to go there because you will expand, you will grow." And I said, "Why do I need to go all the way to South Africa to grow? I'm already a very big and renowned events organizer here in Tanzania." And she said, "You're not. You need to go there so you'll know a little bit more about how much further you want to expand." So I took that lead. I spoke to my business partner about it and said, we have 2 weeks to get ourselves over there, to learn about this thing called mice, to learn about this thing called PCO, which we don't know. We jumped into Google. We learned everything we needed to learn about mice and PCOing and took ourselves to Meetings Africa. Needless to say, when we got there, that was where we got our inspiration about really wanting to take the next step from being an event organizer to a PCO. I know my time is limited, so I'm going to stop there, Tessa, to give the other speakers an opportunity as well to speak.
Thank you, Doris. We talk so that we clinch deals. You could see that from Doris. Kumbi, tell us, you are a DMC and also doing conferencing. I'll ask you, Kumbi, just to give us in brief what motivated you to become a DMC. Please take us through, Kumbi, in just about a minute and a half.
Thanks, Tessa, and welcome everyone who's attending the session today, as well as my fellow panelists. Great to see you all again. For me, it was just actually entirely by accident, enjoying the tourism industry a lot, love to travel, meet people. And I started out in the wonderful world of incentive travel, and it was just fantastic. I could have done it for free. That's what I always tell people, because it was just such a wonderful, creative high energy environment, and no two programs were ever the same. We got to start from, conceptualizing the event, running it, reconciling afterwards, and everything in between. So it was just terrific, inspiring, and just seeing the impact of our own ideas on indirectly on global companies, because incentive travel winners ultimately only stayed inspired on the trips. If we messed up, they would go back uninspired. And so, that wouldn't work. So I think in a small way, we touched the lives of many high performers around the world, and that was exciting too. So that's kept me going, even to dealing with conferences. Lots of ideas that are discussed during conferences, and down the road, you see the impact of those ideas that were discussed during the conferences. So Tamlin's got something about big ideas behind her, and a lot of big ideas are discussed at conferences. So these are some of the things that continue to inspire me to stay in this profession.
Kumbi, I will leave a question that I would want you to think about. I would like you to outline the difference between being a DMC and just a tour operator. I will not ask you to respond now, but remember to come back to that question when I come to you for the second round. I will get on to my friend Tamlin. What motivated you to join this important industry? Doris mentioned something very important. There's always a silver lining to everything. She was at a funeral, and something knocked at her door, and something made her run. Tamlin, let's hear from you.
So hello, everyone. Nice to see my fellow panelists. And I'm always happy to support Zimbabwe tourism. Coming from Zimbabwe myself, my family's still there. So it's so lovely to be here with you all. So I've got quite an interesting story. I mean, right after leaving school, I always knew I wanted to be in events. So I was very lucky in that space. I've always been quite headstrong. But and I was blessed enough to start working on the South African AIDS conference. So I've worked on some of the largest conferences, in Africa. But specifically, what really motivated me and what kept me here for so long, this is probably my 20th year in the industry. You wouldn't say, right? I have no wrinkles, but it's the impact that you can have. So for me, conferences provide a powerful platform for which to affect change, especially when you're working with associations who are member driven and are voluntary. They don't have the kind of capacity to drive the change that they're so capable of doing. So what kind of inspired me to stay in the industry is very much what inspired me to get into the industry in the first place, was just the power of bringing people together. And I mean, we do talk about big ideas, and for me, big ideas really, they only start to fly when you put more than one person with another person. And so that for me is the power of meetings. It's the power of putting people together and affecting change, whether that's around health issues, whether that's economic issues, education, whether that's just around, we've been so blessed we've worked on things like Orphans and Vulnerable Children Conference, human rights. We've done a lot of corporate stuff as well, which is on the fun side. But for me, the real reason I stay, the meaning that I get from it is at the end, seeing the declarations that are made. The World AIDS Conference, the price of antiretrovirals before the conference came to South Africa was $1,000. Okay. Now, when you start hosting conferences based on relevancy of subject rather than expediency, what you see is impact. After that conference came to South Africa, the price of antiretrovirals dropped to $47, I think it was. So for me, the impact of getting people to go to a relevant country, a relevant continent where the subject matter is so relevant, conference organizers have such a big role to play. They're not just, I always say to people, I'm not going to choose the color of your napkins. That's not even important for me. It's something we have to do. But for me, it's about what is the strategic approach that you're taking to get your event? What is your strategic objective for your event? That's what's kept me here for all these years, and that's what keeps me going.
Thank you, Tamlin. I can see that you're fired up, and I know you are a specialist, a serious specialist. Right, I'd like to come on to Brian. Brian is a young, vibrant youth who has broken new grounds. Brian, just tell us in brief what has motivated you to join this sector.
All right, thank you very much. To begin with, like she said, my name is Brian. I started liking the events industry, the MICE industry when I was in school, to such an extent that I've been organizing events when I was at school. From then, I got an opportunity, I got lucky to be attached at a Tourist Business Council of Zimbabwe, which is an umbrella body for all tourism associations. At Tourist Business Council, I used to organize tourism events like the tourism convention, golf tournaments for the industry. From then, when I went back to school for my final year, there's this module that we did, events management, when we were learning about the trends in the events industry. Then I got selected to represent the country in a global competition for MICE planners. I created a business proposal marketing the industry, the marketing Victoria Falls as the best destination for MICE tourism. My proposal won the first prize in Africa at Meetings Africa last year. Then from then, I was then selected to represent the African continent in a global competition. The same proposal then scooped the first prize. So by then, I then got an appreciation of the industry, like a deeper understanding of the whole industry. Then soon after completing my studies last year, I then opened my own PCO, which is called Engage MICE. I started by organizing graduation ceremonies for universities, and up until now, I've organized more than 25 graduation ceremonies for universities around Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Well done. And I would like to applaud you for taking a deep dive into this industry, and be rest assured that you do very well in this industry. I would like to pose a question to the panel to say, what are the challenges that you faced when you started this business? It's very important for everybody in the room to understand what challenges you faced, so that at least we have solutions. We've got solutions to solve those problems. I'll start with Tamlin to say, tell us, what challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
I think I'm going to start with how I ended up starting on my own in the first place. I was working for an international PCO, heading up the South Africa office. And I left and started on my own. And for 2 weeks, I sat on the couch watching Crime Channel, thinking to myself, okay, how do I do this for myself? In my pajamas, let me tell you. How do I do this for myself? And the biggest thing for me was
Sorry, we've
cash
lost
flow.
you. We've lost you. Something's happening to the sound.
Can you hear me?
T, we lost you.
Can you guys hear me?
I can
hear her clearly.
Oh, you guys can hear me. Okay. So for me, it was around cash flow. Getting enough work in to warrant paying your expenses while you're starting out and building your reputation. And that all comes with contacts. And so one of the biggest challenges I had in building the business was really how do I get enough business to warrant keeping the doors open and starting up? And it really is about the hustle. You can't start your own PCO business or anything in the MICE industry unless you're ready to hustle, because if there's anything that we all are, and you'll all agree, it's hustlers. We're not afraid to get out there and work and connect and talk to strangers on planes and talk to strangers on buses and bump into people in grocery queues, because that's where you pick up your work. So the biggest challenge for me was, how do I build this business? And it's about getting your first client. Once you get your first client, you can get your second one. Once you get your second one, they refer your third one. So those are the biggest things. And I mean, we've been very blessed in that way. We haven't had to market our services, which has been amazing. All of our work has come from word of mouth and referrals. So yeah, the big thing for me is cash flow, getting that one client who will refer you to someone else. And then obviously just building your reputation and really leveraging your networks, not being afraid to talk to people, you know, like I said, in the grocery queue. I mean, I was queuing for petrol in Zim once when I was there. And I made friends in the queue. And I picked up 2 business deals. So, I mean, you mustn't be afraid. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to know that you're going to hustle. So those are the biggest challenges for me. And then obviously that's just with starting up. And then afterwards, it's about scaling up. Scaling up has been, is also quite a big challenge for entrepreneurs. Doris, Kumbi, you guys will agree here. It's about, at what point is that tipping point where you say, I've got enough business to hire new people, or do I? You know, so it's like, well, how long do I have the business for to hire new people? So it's really, it's a bit of a roller coaster. And I think all of you will admit we're a bit of a sucker for punishment in this industry, because it's a high, it's the lows, it's the highs, it's the lows. So we sit on a roller coaster, and it's addictive. But it's the power of the industry, right? So if I had to outline the biggest ones, it's like I said, cash flow, getting started, building your reputation, and then scaling up. Those have been the big kind of things that I've had to really deal with in my business, and that's for the past 6 years, because I only started on my own 6 years ago, and now we're at that kind of place where, you know, are you big enough? And my team is, I mean, we're a reasonably medium organization, but it's definitely been interesting. So I'm not sure what the other panelists think, but those have definitely been my challenges.
Thank you very much. So when you do something, do it well. Put on all your boots and shoes so that you get referrals. That's very important. Doris, tell us, what were the challenges that you experienced when you started your business, in brief? Because I'm watching my clock, it's ticking. We still have some issues to cover.
Yes. Thank you, Tessa. I mean, wow, the challenges. They are hundreds. We'll need a whole day for that, but I understand, again, in the interest of time, I completely echo all of Tamlin's challenges. And as she was talking, I was smiling to myself because they all sounded very, very familiar. But I can tell you this, the first challenge that we faced is one of realization. Remember, I said earlier that we were event organizers, and now we wanted to venture into the world of mice. So suddenly now we want to be PCOs. We got the very tough realization of knowing that every PCO is an event organizer, but not every event organizer is a PCO. So we had this tough hit reality that just because we've been organizing events doesn't make us a PCO, which means there's a lot that we didn't know. So the first challenge was one of knowledge. We didn't know anything about what it took to be a PCO. We didn't know what it was all about to really be a big player within the mice industry. And so when we compared ourselves to others in the industry, we just could see where we were falling short. Now that could be a slap in the face, but it could also be a nudge into reality. Because then now we decided, do we really want to be PCOs, or do we want to remain as event organizers? And so we knew, if this is what we want to do, we've got to learn and learn and learn some more. So how did we overcome the challenge of lack of knowledge? We just, again, we went back and learned everything there was to know. We're not in university, so we can't go and learn like Brian did. We had to go into industry, to the industry, publications that were out there, learn some more, speak to people who are in the industry, attend industry events where, again, it's a very good place to get more knowledge. And so we began to bridge that gap little by little. And so the second challenge was one of experience. We then realized that this is an industry that is dictated by your reputation. So we knew there's the 3 R's here that are so important in this industry. And these are one of reputation, referrals, and recovery. I'll start with reputation. No one gives you work in this industry unless you have a reputation behind you. We didn't have a reputation, because we did not have the experience in the conference industry. But as Tamlin said, all you need is that first client. You get your first client, you do that job well, and they can be your biggest referral that you ever need to get yourself that second client. So we stuck with those 3 R's: how we're going to build our reputations, where are we going to get our referrals, and how are we going to recover in this very tough industry of sometimes, rejection. So those, I would say, are the challenges that we had to face. It's not easy, but you have to decide that if you want to stay in there, get your knowledge up, work on your experience, on your track record, get your reputation in top-notch form, and then go out there and get the business. You talk to people anywhere, as Tamlin had said. You will be surprised where you get your leads from. But you need to know where you can get your business, where you're going to get that next client, because the client is not going to come to you. You need to know where you are going to get the client. So if you're the type of person who shies away from being proactive, from being a go-getter, it's going to be very challenging for you. So we had to learn all these things, but we've overcome them and we're very happy about it right now. Yeah.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Doris. I would like to pose a question to you, to Tamlin and Doris, and Hazel, please be prepared to give them gifts. My question to you is, kindly help us to outline the difference between an events organizer and a PCO. I will not ask you to respond now, but I will give you an opportunity to respond to that. People have to understand the difference.
Yeah.
And question number 2 is, I would like you to tell us give us how the MICE landscape in your different countries, in South Africa, and in Tanzania and Rwanda, the MICE landscape. What kind of support are you getting from the industry as a whole, or from the government? We want to know the landscape of that particular industry and support that you are getting from the government and association. Do you have a strong MICE association in your countries? I'll pause and ask Kumbi to tell us the challenges that he's also faced in starting his business. And Kumbi, I will ask you also to be brief. I know you are serious marketers in terms of this business. That's how you pitch for your businesses. But bear with me.
Thank you, Tessa. Thanks, everyone, for the comments. I think Doris and Tamlin have hit the nail on the head and really explained the lengths and breadths of the challenges faced. So I think I won't go into too much detail in terms of talking about them. They are common. The one thing I would add is that when you're getting into this business, first and foremost, remember that it is a business. So your basic business skills are something that's often overlooked because we're all passionate about what we do. We love what we do, but you're going to be running a business. Whether you're in your pajamas on the couch like Tamlin trying to figure out where she wanted to go, or Doris at the funeral picking up a lead, that's going to have to feed into some sort of business structure, and that's going to have to feed into some sort of business process flow. Otherwise, those 3 R's, look, we're human. So learning is part of the process. And some people learn at university, some people learn at the life of university, or university of life, as they say. But bottom line is those are lessons that you need to then apply repeatedly into your business and start to build consistency, etc. I was fortunate in that I started working for a really top professional DMC here in Zim. Got to learn the ins and outs of the industry, and unfortunately a combination of politics and economic events, local politics, international economic events, led to the demise of the company that I worked for. So I was out in hotels for quite a while, which was great because you're seeing how the other side works and involved at the highest levels there. So, by the time I was ready to come back into this industry in 2018, I had at least gained sufficient experience from both sides. And that helps a great deal now because it's important to understand the inner workings of, especially hotels, because you work a lot with hotels in conferences and on the incentive side. So the challenges, I think, have to do with your reputation, client side, and also your reputation in the industry, who you know, because often who you know helps you to get very, very far. So for example, I had a site inspection a couple of years ago, and the one thing you want to do is make a good impression, and the clients are stuck at the border coming from Botswana. And so we were looking forward to receiving them early. And from what I quickly gathered, the delays were 2 hours. So I made 2 phone calls to people I knew. The first phone call couldn't help me immediately, but referred me to somebody else quite high up in the system. And that person, on the strength of their name and a number he gave me, got my clients out of that queue within 5 minutes, and they were on their way. And that made an impression on them, a huge impression. And that speaks to maybe your question, Tessa, if I may just attend to that difference between a DMC, destination management company, and tour operator. Tour operators traditionally had packages on the shelf, and people walked in to pick up those packages, and people really, the retail consumers, that's traditionally what the tour operator model was. And that's what I went to school of hospitality briefly to learn about, was tour operations. So the big companies like Thompson's and the likes, there's a couple of others that have since folded. And they were really traditionally holiday packages all over the world, bundled accommodation, airlines where necessary, and other things, other components that got people on holiday. DMCs, especially when I came into this trade, were really experts, especially experts in their destination. For us, it was Victoria Falls and the surrounding areas. Experts in terms of the terrain, experts in terms of the various players in that market, and experts in terms of how to deliver quality experience, especially to our clients who are corporates for the most part. Deliver quality experience in those places. Also, tour operators, it's a product off the shelf. Somebody goes off, and it's really just driving volume. In our game, every single inquiry that comes through is a totally different experience, and our job is to make it as unique and as exceptional as we possibly can. It's not just a matter of people sitting in a room all day. You can do that anywhere in the world, just like we are now, even virtually. But our job is to make it as as exceptional and memorable as we possibly can, so that other people who hear about our destinations, hear about us, are excited to work with us, are excited to come to where we are. And so you've got to be very, very knowledgeable, not just about the product, but processes, and also your customer at the end of the day. Who are you bringing on board? What is it that they're looking to do? And importantly, how can you deliver not just what they want, but usually more than what they're actually after? So really blow them away by what your delivery is going to be. The hard job coming to challenges is your partners on the ground. Because some of your requests are going to be unusual or outlandish. With incentives, you cannot deliver an ordinary experience. Otherwise, who you're going to inspire? So, if you're working with hotels, and Victoria Falls Hotel, for example, overlooks beautiful bridge, and if your company's color is green, and one night they ask you, hey, can we light up for our gala dinner, can we light up that bridge green? You've got to find a really outstanding solution to make it happen. And you've got to work with a lot of people to make it happen. So that just talks about some of the challenges and opportunities that exist. It's a challenge because perhaps it's never been done before, but it's a great opportunity as well to test your creative ability, the strength of your relationships in destination.
Thank you, Kumbi. One of my mentors would say that even for checking in, you can actually have the makoros coming from the bush to hand over the keys to the rooms. That's how exciting it should be. So incentive travel, it's really something that should be exquisite, something that should be out of this world, so that you impress your clients. Brian, what has kept you going? Tell us what has kept you going, irrespective of the COVID pandemic. What has kept you going? Share with us.
All right, thank you very much. I will start off by saying the challenges that I've faced when running the PCO. The first one is the uncertainty of the business environment, especially when in times like this, when the pandemic has ruined the whole world. Imagine when you're planning an event, then the government impose the lockdowns. Now you're forced maybe to postpone cancel or to switch to hybrid or virtual, completely virtual event. It hasn't been easy, but we managed to sail through. Then another challenge that we faced was the issue of registration. It was quite expensive or costly for me to register as a PCO in Zimbabwe, but with the help of Zimbabwe Tourism Authority, people at ZNCVB, they helped me to, they gave me a waiver to register as a PCO for free. And at the moment, I'm actually in the registration process. Exactly.
Well done to the Convention Bureau for doing that. And one question that I would pose, do you need a lot of money to be part of this industry, Brian? Would you tell those that are aspiring to be in this industry to say you need to have bags full of money, or is something that can be reasonably done by anyone?
All right. I think it's not all about having enough money to run a PCO, but it's all about passion. When you're operating through your passion, it's easy for doors to open than someone who's not following his or her passion. For your own point, I started my own PCO with less than $100. So I can't really say we need a lot of money to start a business here in Zimbabwe, especially a PCO. It's all about passion. Thank you. I don't know if you are answered.
Okay. Hello, are you back?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great stuff. Right, I will come back to you ladies to say, I asked you a question. I said you should explain to us the difference between a PCO and an events organizer. Go ahead. I'll start with Doris, and then Tamlin will come in next.
Okay. I did bring it up. As I said, this was a realization for us that there is a difference between an events organizer and now primarily every PCO is an events organizer, because every conference and every congress is an event. The difference is the size of the event that makes it a congress or a conference. So the first lies in the size of the work you're going to be doing. If you're going to be doing an event that is 300 people, then you're definitely a conference organizer, because now you're organizing a conference which comes with a whole list of complexities. If, on the other hand, you are an event organizer, now events fall under different categories. A funeral is an event, but it's not a conference. A birthday party is an event, it's not a conference. A wedding is an event, but it's not a conference. And a corporate meeting or a product launch or a sports day is an event, but is not a conference. I hope I'm making my point here. So that is really the big difference. What are you working towards? A PCO deals with organizing conferences, and conferences are brought into a destination. Conferences primarily deal with destinations. They come to a destination for a particular reason. It could be for knowledge sharing. It could be for research purposes, and it could be, for raising awareness of something that's happening around the world. For instance, climate change or issues of human rights. Are conferences, events that are being held for the purpose of knowledge sharing, changing mindsets, or changing and influences. So those become a conference. If you're working on those kinds of events, you are a PCO. So if you're a wedding organizer, you can't then just do a direct transition from saying, I can do this to going to do that, because the that are involved are huge. Differences in things like registration. Brian touched on registration.
Hello, Doris.
Sourcing and bring.
Okay, Doris, are you still there? You seem to be breaking, Doris. Doris. Okay, I'll
Thanks
ask
for correcting me.
Tamlin to come in. I'm
Okay.
sure she's having challenges, yes.
Okay, so for me, the biggest difference between the two is that PCOs are like business CEOs. We manage marketing budgets for an event, and we manage revenue models and strategic issues, whereas an events manager is very much focused on logistics issues. PCOs look at the business side of things as well. So whether that is, what is the revenue model? What is the sponsorship model? They go and look for sponsorship. So PCOs, when I'm explaining to some of the youth that we mentor, we talk about it as a PCO is a CEO running a business. So for every conference we have, I consider them little businesses. They've got their own budgets, they've got their own revenue model, they've got their own P&L, they've got their own marketing strategy. So for me, that's the main difference between the two. You know, like Doris said, if you're a PCO, you are also an event organizer, but being an event organizer does not make you a PCO, because what we do as PCOs, you know, it's very strategic. Event management is only one aspect of what we do. The rest is very much around finance, marketing, you know, relationship and stakeholder management. So there's so many other facets to it. So for me, as I said, that's the main difference.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And there's also a component of bidding. You also take a crucial role in terms of bidding for conferences and events coming to the destination. Thank you very much.
The business development
Bidding is
component
key.
of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies, you now share with us the landscape of mice in your countries in just about half a minute.
Cool. Do you want to go first, Doris?
Tamlin, since you are there.
Well, yeah, sure. I operate in one.
All right, Doris, go ahead, Doris.
Okay, I operate in 2 countries. So I'm going to speak about, I guess, both of them very quickly. We started off in Tanzania and then we moved to Rwanda. The reason we moved to Rwanda is simply because they have a very, very established support system. They have a convention bureau. I don't know if we have enough time to speak about a convention bureau. A convention bureau essentially is an organization that deals with promoting the destination as a viable conference destination for the conference clients. Remember that our conferences are driven by the destination and what the destination can offer. If the destination can host the conference that they're bringing, it's not only about we want to go to Tunisia, we want to go to Kenya or Tanzania. They first do their homework. Do you have the infrastructure to host our conference? Do you have the venues big enough to host our conference? Do you have the facilities? And then do you have the expertise? So in the industry, in the country that we work in, which is Rwanda, all these are very much in place. So it makes our life a lot easier or doable because we don't have to do all the groundwork ourselves. So in terms of support, it's very critical. It's very important for a destination to have these bits in order to support the conferencing industry. Now, in other countries, of course, it is just, this knowledge is just starting up. So that makes it a little more difficult for a PCO to get the support that they need. Not to say that it's impossible. It just means that they will have to work that little bit harder to get themselves off the ground and to see who else they can work together with. Remember, as a PCO, you cannot work on a conference by yourself. It is a whole network of stakeholders, starting from your convention bureau, starting from your venues, starting from your hotels, going to the hotels and the DMCs, all put together that intricate network of being a professional conference organizer and, being able to bring a conference together to a particular destination. So it's very important to get that.
Thank you very much. Tamlin, in brief.
So the MICE industry in South Africa is a thriving business. Obviously, it's a thriving industry. Obviously, we've had challenges with COVID, but the resilience of our industry has really been phenomenal, seeing how people have bounced back. If we look at the support that we have, we've got a very well-defined support structures with national convention bureaus and the different cities that support us. In terms of job creation, our industry through our MICE sector sustain about 47,000 jobs. and has contributed, in terms of event bids, we've contributed more than 2.2 billion to our economy. So the MICE sector in South Africa is very well established. We have phenomenal support from government and convention bureaus. And it's like what Doris said, you can't organize a conference on your own. There are various partners and stakeholders that you need to work with to make your event successful. So it's not an I business, it's a we business. And I think that's what makes the industry so magical. Everyone pulls together to make things happen. So yeah, our industry is very established here. There's lots of opportunity for growth. People always talk about red and blue ocean. There unfortunately a lot of event organizers that pop up, I'm saying in inverted commas, who think they can do professional conference organizing just off the bat on their own, and you can't. So it's very important, I think, that we all kind of lean on each other and work on skills development in our industry to get people up to the level that they need to be. I don't know what the challenges are for you, Doris, in your markets, but there are a lot of kind of back garage event organizers that then think they can organize professional conferences, and it does unfortunately give us a bad name. So we get a lot of those. Yeah. And the other thing is obviously that there are no rules and regulations about how you charge. So what happens is, we know what best practice is in terms of how you charge a client, but you'll get someone who doesn't know what they're doing and will charge almost nothing. They'll get the work, damage the relationship. No one will, that person will never call a PCO ever again. So there's still those little challenges in our market, those things do happen, but I think they happen everywhere. Doris is laughing, so I'm sure she's experienced it too. So yeah, we've definitely got that. But yeah, like I said, we're well supported. We've got a phenomenal industry, and yeah, we're open for business. So very exciting to chat to you all.
Thank you, ladies. Kumbi, kindly tell us if you are affiliated to any international organization that's a specialist in incentive travel?
Yeah, for incentive travel, site, and that's a member pretty much we've dealt with from my early days, and there's good fountain of knowledge and good networking opportunities as well. So I think both Doris and Tamlin were talking about the importance of these international associations. So yeah, it's definitely site would be my go-to in terms of incentives.
Thank you very much. I'm now not going to mute myself because I now need to control time. Once I go to Brian Hazel, I don't know if you're going to have question time, because I can see that we just have a few minutes to question time. Brian, are you now affiliated to any international accrediting body that helps you in terms of capacity building?
Not exactly, but I've got team at Meeting Professional International. They mentor me, but I'm not yet affiliated as my company is not yet affiliated to MPI. So I can't really say I'm affiliated to any of the organizations.
Thank you, Brian. Whilst I call on Hazel, I'll still go back to my questions to the two ladies to say that talking of associations, do you have strong associations that you work with, whether in the PCO segment of things? Do you have any strong professional bodies that you are working with? Associations?
Yes, allow me to go for that one very quickly. Associations or being affiliated or associated with a professional body, it is vital, absolutely vital, for two reasons. One, for your own credibility, because clients who are looking to work with PCOs, we will look for those who are credible. Tamlin pointed out that there's some event organizers who say they're PCOs, work on a conference and mess it up completely. So now suddenly the client, once bitten 700 times shy, they will not work with anyone who is not affiliated with a professional body. So for us as SRC agency, we are affiliated with ICA, where not only do we get our credibility from being a member of ICA, but then again, I mentioned knowledge earlier on. Knowledge is key. When you are associated with a professional body, you increase your learning opportunities. You get upskilled in the industry. You know what the trends are and how you can keep yourself relevant and sort of up to date with what's happening within the industry. So we are a member of ICA. We are a member of SITE as well. And yeah, we were not going to stop there. We're members within in our countries. We're members of the Association for PCOs within the countries that we work in as well. So it's very, very important to have those associations.
Doris, Tamlin, in a quarter of a minute.
We've got SARCI here in South Africa, and obviously there we've got ICA and IAPCO, but the panel really is about the challenges of being a small business and a startup. A lot of these organizations are expensive to join. ICA is quite pricey to join as a startup. So the big thing for me is an advice to people that are starting out is try and get accredited with your local association first. ICA, IAPCO, SITE, all of those can be quite pricey. And especially if you're worrying about your cash flow, trying to join those associations doesn't actually get you back what you need in the short term. It's a long-term strategy. So we've got SARCI, IAPCO, and ICA in South Africa. We are not a member of ICA, although we work with them. SARCI, in South Africa, we've got a couple. We are affiliated with them. We're not a member of SARCI. So on my side, we've been flying under the radar actually, and not being a member of any of the associations. So yeah, we fly very slowly under the radar. But yeah, and then obviously we work closely. We work with the ICA databases. A lot of our partner organizations are members of ICA, and we work with them. So yeah, we've managed to get away with not being a member actually. But it is just about seeing the value. For me, it's about the value of belonging to those associations and what you get back. And that's kind of what we do for our clients as well, is membership value proposition. We only believe in signing up for those things once we understand what the value proposition is going to be for us. And so that's been our challenge on our side.
Thank you. Hazel, are you there? Sorry. Go ahead.
Tessa, if I may just add to what Tamlin has said. You see, with a market like South Africa, you might be able to afford not to be in association because the market in itself is completely vibrant. You may not need to be a member of an association right off the bat. Now, in our other countries, in other African countries, that may not necessarily be the case. So you really need to assess the situation of the destination that you're in to know what is worth it for you or what is not. Because if you're operating in a small country that is remote, not known, if you're not a member of an association, you better believe that nobody is going to even know that you exist. So yeah.
That's very true, Tessa, if I may add to Doris. The other thing obviously is that these associations, I mean, our SARCI has undergone quite an overhaul over the years, and the value that they give to their members now is phenomenal. So we are looking at becoming a member, but it is about considering what are your membership value proposition and the support that you get from belonging to an industry association as well. The kind of camaraderie that you get, even through COVID, the association represented its members to look at when are we going to open up for events. So, there's pros and cons, but if you look at how the associations are changing over the years, I think there's definitely a lot of merit in belonging to an industry association. In fact, I think you should. Especially if you are wanting to do that. Yeah, exactly.
Hazel, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Yes, I'm
Hazel,
here.
Any questions that have been posed by the participants?
No, not at the moment. There are no questions.
There are no questions. Right. As we try to round up this session, what is the takeaway for those that have been listening? What ideas can we offer to those that have been listening? I'll start with Brian.
Sorry.
Yes, Doris wants to say something.
I'm really sorry. I have some questions for Tamlin and for myself in the Q&A section. I don't know if you want us to answer those really quickly.
Okay, please do. Please do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. A question from Fari Rai, who's asking, Doris, since you started on being a PCO, do you still organize other events like weddings or parties? and, you know, other things. And I can tell you this, Farirai, I do not, and I will not, because not because of anything, but it's just such a different shift. And as Tamlin had said earlier, being a PCO is being a CEO, managing smaller events, weddings and parties. You bring in emotion into it, and quite for us, we just are not cut out for the emotional part of organizing events. So we have dropped those. And the question, I think, for you, Tam, have you seen your class? At what point did you scale up
your manpower? It's quite simple. I'll give you the easy answer. When I stopped sleeping, you know, it's so easy for us as kind of business owners not, you know, to kind of hold on to everything and not let go, because like, is this the time to hire someone? Is now the time to hire someone? But eventually when I wasn't sleeping, I realized it was time to hire people. And now we're up to a team of 10, you know? So each time you're like, well, is it time now to hire someone? So when you start doing everything yourself and you realize that your time is better spent looking at business. I mean, the thing is, if you're running your own business, you need to be looking at business development, relationship management, the financial and strategic side. You can't be sending RSVP schedules and those things out. Starting out, yes, you have to do everything, right? It's like Facebook starting in the back of a garage. You have to do everything. But when you realize that your quality of life is starting to be compromised, actually, if you look at your time, what your time is worth, each hour that you spend, and whether you could be generating more income on a business development deal, then you know you need to hire someone. And then obviously it's about hiring the right people, because you can definitely burn your fingers there too. You know, it's about having the right people in the right places. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a worse off position than you were to begin with. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, ladies. Kumbi, take away for people, the doggy bag for our participants.
Yeah, thanks, Tessa. Look, undoubtedly, I was thinking about this earlier, you know, the temptation is always to, you know, to get people all psyched up and off they go and, you know, dive right into this work. I was going to say the best advice I'd give you really, take a piece of paper, can be an A4, fold it in half and then open it again. And then on the one side, have start up a PCO business. On the other side, working in the PCO industry, okay? And then put pros and cons. So for and against on both sides. And just write down your ideas, what you think will work, what you think will drive you for both sides. And then just add up. What are the pluses, the pros and cons on both sides? There's advantages if you're very passionate, disciplined, committed to starting up the business. And there's advantages to starting off, you know, in the industry to learn the ropes, to get contacts and to understand what the business is about. But the bottom line is once you're committed to either side, then you've got to go for it 100%. You've got to have passion, you've got to have discipline, you've got to have commitment, and you've got to have one heck of a sense of humor, because a lot of things are going to happen during the course of running your business. And, you know, that helps to carry you through at the end of the day. And I think joining associations is very important, even if it means getting involved, for example, like Sanganai. A lot of people are tuned in today. Get involved.
Kumbi, the clock is red now. The clock is red on my side now.
Okay, Tessa.
It's red. Tamlin, just a second of what you can tell our participants.
So myself, get involved in our industry. It's the greatest adventure of your life. There's so many amazing people that you've yet to meet, and so much change that you can affect. So for me, my last piece of advice is it's the best industry to be involved with. And yeah, you meet so many amazing people like my panelists here on this discussion. So yeah, get involved in the industry. There's so much that you can learn. You'll never have 2 days that are the same. So if you're not already in the industry, get involved. And if you are, and you wake up one morning and you just don't want to carry on, just remember, get back up. It's those hustles that pay off, you know, and you'll see the work pay off. Just put the work in. And see Doris smiling because she knows.
Doris, in just a snippet. Doris.
It's a wonderful industry to join. I got in there because someone Yes, it's a wonderful industry to join. So I would just like to say, just like someone took me under their wing and showed me the ropes, I'm ready to take.
Hello, Doris. He seems to be having
Had to get himself
challenges
out
with
there
the
to get
bandwidth.
somewhere. So if you're interested,
Doris, are you back?
oh, can you?
Oh, she's speaking, but we
in.
can't hear her. I don't know whether you can hear her.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Doris.
Okay, let me say it again because I could hear you. I'm just saying that if you, oh,
go ahead.
Okay, if for anyone who's wanting to join the industry, it's an amazing industry. Join in. Just as someone took me under their wing to help me, to show me the ropes, I'm ready and I'm willing to take somebody under my wing to show them the ropes. So feel free to reach out if you're a budding PCO in Zim or anywhere else. And yeah, that's it.
Brian, in brief, Brian.
Right. If you want to join the industry, please come through. We are ready to welcome you. Just yesterday, we launched an interesting program. We launched an exciting thing, the Meet in Zim. So it's about to get more exciting. Please come through.
Hazel, I hand over the reins to you. I could have gone on and on. Thank you very much, Hazel.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chikaponya. It's always a pleasure to have you along. We always learn so much from you. And I do know that you being in Dubai, you will soak in more knowledge on MICE tourism. And when you come back, you will impart that knowledge to all of us. Thank you very much. But I have one question just before you go. I hope you will allow me to ask this one. There's a question that's been posed here. It says, how do PCOs work with convention bureaus?
Tamlin, could you take that one up?
So PCOs work with convention bureaus if they're doing the right thing. A lot of PCOs do not work with convention bureaus, but the way we work with convention bureaus is we, for example, will find an association congress that we want to bid for, or the convention bureau finds a convention that they want to bring to that specific destination, and they will do PCO rounds where they will bid and look for a PCO and match make the PCO with the association. On the other side, if we've already got an event, like we've got an international event coming up in 2 years, we go to the convention bureau for support. Before we've even bid for this event, you get support letters. They tell you how they're going to help you bring this event to South Africa. So we work together in the way that you hold hands, basically. There's nothing that you can't do anything without your convention bureau, not if you want your event to run successfully. So from the bidding process, all the way through to the support, bringing the event to South Africa, getting discounted rates from your tours and your tours accommodation. They do all of those negotiations and things for you. That for me is the magic of working together with your convention bureau.
Thank you, Jane. Hazel, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chikaponya, and your panel. It was absolutely wonderful to have you along. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank IAPCO, sorry about that, IAPCO, International Association of Professional Congress Organizers, for providing 2 training slots for young upcoming PCOs in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our other sponsors, and they are in no particular order: Bande Mutande, Nichols Hotel, Montclair Hotel and Casino, Africa Albedo Tourism, Cut Hotels, Cresta Group of Hotels, Rainbow Tourism Group, African Sun Hotels, and Regency Hotels. So please keep those posts coming. Post, share, like our Meet in Zim page, and you stand a chance to win yourself a wonderful prize. So we will take a short break, but we will return at 13:45 Central African Time when we give you a destination presentation on Victoria Falls, the tourism capital of Zimbabwe. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
It was awesome.
Thank you very much.